And then, inevitably, boy takes toy, bops sister on the head, they're screaming. Okay, so me, in all those 4 years, I've been reading all those parenting books still, right? So the first one comes to mind, let's try the 1, 2, 3 parenting magic thing, right? So 1, 2, 3, that's fine now. Try it, go back to dishes, boy takes toy, bops sister on head, there's crying. Okay, maybe we need to try time in. Someone said time in, right? So we go and we try the time in, try to do the dishes, boy takes toy, bops sister on head, crying. Maybe I need to sit down and like co-regulate with them and try to how we use our words to share and stuff like that. Try that. All the dishes are still there waiting, right? Eventually you have to go back to them. Boy takes toy, bops sister on head, it's fine. So one day, this is my parenting low moment, one day I decide maybe if I make the consequence so severe, this child will never again want to do the thing, right? Like we're gonna make this really intense. So this kid hated the dark and hated the basement. So I drag the child to the top of the basement stairs, lock him in, shut off the lights, and he's screaming and pounding in terror at the top of the stairs. And at that moment in time, part of me knows that's not what the me in Aruba wanted to do, right? This isn't healthy for my kid. And I don't care right at this exact moment. I don't care at all. Like, it's just shut down. I'm so frustrated from not knowing how to help with the situation. And I've worked so hard in these 4 years to try to figure it out, right? So, eventually boy's let out. He walks in his bedroom, doesn't look at me, closes the door. I don't want to cry now. Because he closes the door and says, I don't want to see you or be near you anymore. And he never even looked at me, right? So that was the moment when it's like, I am ruining the relationship with my child. Where are we going to be in 15 years? Like when he's 15? How do I figure this out? I've already tried so hard, right? But about that time, I did eventually find a book that said kids do well if they can. And I was like, I don't know if I buy into that yet. But that's going to be kind of what we're going to share a little bit, hopefully build some belief in kids do well if they can. And add in this really important part for us parents that I think is often overlooked. The same holds true for us as parents. And we need and deserve that same level of care and concern for ourselves and to hold our needs on equal footing with that kiddo. And when we do, then we get to step in to be the parents that we really want to be. So over the next 7 years, because now for me it's 7 years later, I did find books and resources that help. Learned about some nervous system stuff that we're going to share a little bit about today, communication, styles that respect both person's needs, and all the skills that go into like the expectations around getting out the door on time, or academic skills. There's a lot of skill building that's going on in these little bodies, and I believe once we can hold all these things, then we can be empowered to respond adaptively in the moment and step into like that calm and confident state in parenting, which is what I can now experience because there's still problems. There's still challenges. There's always going to be problems and challenges, and it's always going to change. But when you feel more confident in what are the levers to pull, it can make all the difference in how we show up and handle it for everybody's well-being. So, I think all those 4 years, those original 4 years, what I was trying to show is the conflicting messages that we get as moms, right? And the reason I think that is in from 1920 to 1990, a lot of the approaches were behaviorist-based type of approaches. And there's still behaviorist stuff like sprinkled throughout everything and everywhere. Reward charts, sticker charts like rewards and consequences, antecedent behavior consequence, all of that's kind of founded in this behaviorist approach. In the 1990s to 2000, there's pendulum started to swing towards the other side and be more like attachment, relationship, co-regulation, and we're hearing more about time-ins and things like that, right? So we have these two extremes. So you end up with this conflicting advice in your head, like 2-year-old won't sleep, tries at bedtime each night. The behaviorist would say sleep is a habit to be trained. The relationship person, sleep is a developmental stage to be supported. So it's like we've got these two sides of the pendulum like in our head at the same time, and it's hard. So 4-year-old temper tantrum in a store not getting a toy. Behaviorist, attention fuels the fire, starve it. Relationship, dysregulation is scary. Very calm. 5-year-old refuses to clean up. They ignore you and say, no. Behaviorist, try a sticker chart. Incentives drive behavior. relationship. Turn it into a game of chess. Connection and play, drive cooperation. It's conflicting, right? One side and the other side. So then we end up with a mom like this, right? We've got a toddler who's like having a hard time. She's like, how do I handle that? And by the way, I have pancakes on the stove and they're about to burn, and then the fire department's gonna come because the alarm goes off. And then I'm gonna end up like getting that look from my mother-in-law and the comment that she's gonna give me because she's totally forgotten what it's like to have little kids. So in the midst of all those thoughts in her head, we have to be calm and self-regulate and co-regulate this child and totally forget all of her own needs and thoughts in her head. And that's very hard, right? So what do? I do think there is a solution where we can experience well-being and function at the same time. If that's like the pendulum swinging from one side to the other, I believe there's a middle ground where we get to hold both of those things at the same time, right? I need to not have the fire department show up at my house, and I want your well-being and my well-being all at the same time. So don't press the power button. There we go. Okay, what are the steps to that? That's what we'll cover a bit. First, see the signals from our nervous system and take the time to prioritize nervous system safety. 2, get clarity on what's affecting performance. What are the levers that we can pull? That clarity then helps you to adapt in the moment and respond and hold all those things kind of simultaneously. And then 3, experiment with a solution. So the analogy or the way that I think about this, the metaphor that I use is like a race car on a track. So the track is like the task that needs to be done, right? We need to go to school in the morning, ideally on time or something. Or we need to pack a backpack. We need to eat breakfast. So that's the task. It's like the course. There's always a course that is being run, and the person, every person, is kind of like a vehicle on that. And we can use it like, what's going on with the vehicle to see how is it able to perform for that task at this moment in time. And then if we're thinking about our role as parents, the parent would be like the manager of the pit crew over here. So they're not like in the driver's seat with the car, with the kid doing the task in the car. They're here. The only thing we can really do is use our like headset to communicate with the driver, and they're still the one running the race, right? But we're also the pit crew person. So when this car is having a hard time doing the thing, right? Like having a hard time getting ready, go get dressed for school in the morning. You're having a difficult time going to get dressed for school in the morning. We as a pit crew thing, we can at some point in time take a step back and go and get some clarity. What's affecting that? How do we help? Okay, so this is kind of the basis of the analogy that we'll be referring back to. Today, for the goal, see the signal, prioritize safety. We'll work a little bit on seeing what triggers difficulty, like makes performance hard, or what threatens the system, and then just talk about the overall aim. Some of the other parts are a lot to get into. So I'll show you at the end now. So 1, seeing the signals. I think everybody has a paper in front of you. If you would, at this time, just pass out the paper, and I hope you have pencil or pen. All right. Now that you all got distracted that way, we're going to ask you to put the pencil down. Just for a moment from now. In the meantime, if you would, close your eyes. We're going to do a little imagination exercise, all right? And so close your eyes, take yourself in your mind to a safe place, a place you feel good, safe, right? For me, it's, if I imagine a place I went in college, there was a nice wooded area, there was a pine tree and a babbling brook and the sun kind of streaming through, it was beautiful. That's my place I can bring myself into this feeling of safety. Now notice for yourself, what does your body sensation feel like? What does it feel like in your chest? What does your face feel like doing? Your shoulders? If you were speaking, what might that sound like? And complete this sentence. In this state, the world is. What would you fill in the word? In this state, the world is. Now, keeping that sense with you in your mind, transport yourself to the kitchen where your task is to make a healthy smoothie for yourself or the kids. The refrigerator is filled with all the ingredients. The blender is there. but you still have to be creative to put together this task, or put together this smoothie. How easy or hard does this task feel on 1 to 5? When you're ready, open your eyes and just write it down, like record it on the paper in front of you. You'll see right at the top there's a space to do that. When you're done, put your pencil down. Close your eyes again. We'll do a second scenario. Okay. Now imagine yourself at a playground and you're there with friends. The kids are playing. You're enjoying a conversation with the person you're with. All of a sudden, the person you're with says, "Oh my gosh, we have got to go right now. I can't believe you forgot to bring the lunch and now these children are starving. You better pick up everything. And by the way, don't forget your shoes because I don't want to walk back here again." Now, what sensations do you notice for yourself? What would you say? Complete the sentence. The world is, if I'm feeling this state. And imagine again, you're transported to the kitchen. You have to make a healthy smoothie. And how hard or easy does it feel? 1 is hard, 5 is easy. Open your eyes and just write it down. So, the goal in the exercise is to really just start to show how our nervous system is kind of adaptive to the environment that we're in or the stressors that are coming at us, right? And to highlight that. So we're going to talk some nervous system fundamentals really quickly. The first scene or scenario is attempting to get to what is called an engaged state. So this is a state where all of our brain is available, all of our energy is available to interact with the world around us. Our full capacity is accessible to us. So when you were making that healthy smoothie, hold up your hands. What did it feel like as a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? If you had a task you had to do, did it feel easy or hard? 5 was easy. Can you hold up your hands? What did you say? I'm just curious. Because I've never done this exercise before, so I want to know. Did it work? Cool. All right. But scenario 2 is our bodies had to go into a protective kind of state, right? So now in this protective state, because there was some kind of threat coming towards us, and our automatic nervous system is going into a place of trying to protect us, you had a task to do again. Just out of curiosity, what did you rate the ability to do that task? The feeling of, I want to do this task. Did it change? Yeah. Lots of changes. Oh gosh, my theory proved. This is so exciting. Okay, so protective states are automatic responses to what the signals that our nervous system is experiencing in the world. Okay, it's true for our kids and it's true for us. And we're always doing the best we can. And our body showing up in that protective state is ourselves trying to protect ourselves. Our job is to see the signal. So if our job is to see the signal, and you look at this picture and you see these different protective states, you've probably heard of fight or flight, maybe freeze, and maybe fawn. We'll talk about that in a second. But do you see how you can see it? There's a signal, it's visible. It's visible on the faces of the characters. It's in their speed that they're moving, it's in the tone of voice, it's in the posture that you have, it's in the sensations that you feel in your body. What we often do for ourselves as moms is ignore them completely, right? For our own signals, not necessarily for our kids, but especially our own. So fawning, by the way, is one I like to highlight because God blessed me with a child whose first response in a stressed out state is to fawn. So I thought, gee, this is great. This child is so easy, right? They're always they make life easy. I don't have to worry about it, right? But when I learned this, I'm like, oh my goodness. She's actually showing me that she's stressed a lot of the time because she's always giving up her own needs to make the situation easier for everybody else. So it's important. I like to highlight that one. Take a picture in your mind because the goal is that we see the signals, right? And this whole take a picture with your mind engages a part of the brain that we don't really like use as much as we could take advantage of. But if you can, like a camera, imagine taking a picture because you need it in the moment. You don't need it on your phone. You need it in the moment. So take a picture, like snapshot, close your eyes. Can you bring up the image a bit? Can you see all the different ones? And what you then open your eyes, whatever detail or part was missing, then you can look and fill it in. But here's the point. Learning and problem solving happens when we're engaged, right? This is ideally home base for most of us, and all of these other states are like totally normal, and our body's responding to help us in the way that they should. It's on purpose and intentional. It's the signal we have to pay attention to. Sometimes we can get stuck though in one, and maybe we're responding, especially as moms of young kids, from a space where our system has been triggered to fight or flight so many times, we're stuck in that place most of the time. And when that happens, we can also get stuck in this willpower trap, where that mom with the pancakes, one day, she says, I'm not going to yell at my kid to get out the door today, right? Like, it happened yesterday, I'm not going to do it today, but then it happens again. She's like, if I could just have more willpower and not do this next time, I just need to have better self-control. What's wrong with me? I just don't have enough self-control, right? There is nothing wrong with her. What's happening is, and you get this advice, just take a deep breath and it'll all be okay. It's like, I can't take a deep breath at that moment because my nervous system is responding automatically to protect myself. It's not a willpower thing. There's top-down processing using your brain to think and solve the problem, and then there's this bottom-up processing, which is your body is in that state and it's automatic. And so we can't solve, the willpower trap is trying to get people to solve a bottom-up problem with top-down thinking, and it just doesn't work. Okay, so let's hold ourselves with some compassion in that scenario and understand we are doing the best that we can, and what we need to do in a situation like that if we're having a hard time with these automatic kind of fight or flight responses from ourselves, is to train our bodies to address the physiological part. So for me, when this was happening for me, one definite important part, I did box breathing outside of the moment, just 3 times a day, box breathing series, and programmed my nervous system to say, come out of fight or flight, that constant fight or flight that you were feeling. I sent signals to my body to say, calm down, right? Let's get out of that stress state, we're safe. And so from doing that enough, that was 1, getting the body out of that stress state, and 2, making that take a deep breath in the moment thing an automatic response from my body. So the stress happened and then the body automatically said, right? Otherwise I was stuck in, just take a deep breath and it'll be okay. But it doesn't work. Anyway, okay. So the goal, see the signals. This is that car analogy again. It's like the oil detector light comes on, and our goal is to pay attention to it, to notice that the fluid is missing from the car and we need to do something about it, right? Or we see these signals of our safety system being in a stress state, our nervous system being in a stress state. Our goal is to respond to it and figure out how to respond to it. And prioritize nervous system safety. So take the time to take those deep breaths for yourself. It's important. Do not try to problem solve in the moment. This is a mistake I often make as a mom, and God is so good, he gives me this example this week so that I can share it today. Right? Earlier this week, 10-year-old comes into the kitchen. He's like this, I am so angry, I could hit something or punch somebody or throw something at the wall. Okay. And I'm like, you're 10. What's wrong? So I start trying to ask him questions and stuff, and he's getting more and more hyped up. And I'm like, okay, wait a second, I'm putting this together. Let me remember all the things and apply it, right? So I was prioritize safety first. How are we going to do that right now? It's bedtime. Let's just try to get into bed. So we get into bed, get into that safer, calmer space, and then I just let him talk, whatever he wanted to say, and I listen, and you can see the anger, the frustration coming off of him. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to be that pit crew person, right? I'm going to figure out what are the things that are actually stressing out your nervous system so that you're showing up like this. And I don't have to solve that all right now in this moment. I'm going to take that on out of the moment. I'm going to remember and think about it. And right now, what you need is sleep. So I'll help you figure out what's so stressful. Right now, let's just go to sleep. Which is what we're doing. Okay, so then, like where I am right now in that handing that whole scenario is still figuring out, adding to like what are the things underneath the hood, so to speak, and getting clarity on that, what's affecting his performance, and then I'll experiment with solution. But that's our job, like, is to not try to problem solve in the moment. There's this really great YouTube video, if you ever heard of, like, there was a girl who was 17, the gear fell off of the plane, and she had to land the plane in an emergency situation with no flight gear, and the control tower calls and says, have you been doing this, or what's your status or your intention? She's like, I'm a first-time flight, this is my first solo flight, and she has no landing gear, and so they talk her through it, right? So like, that's the mental image that I use. If you want, you can go like YouTube it and find the thing, because you just hear the people, they come on, they're calm, we're gonna guide you through this situation, we're gonna get you to the ground, and like, that's the mental image that I keep for what do I do in that moment. Anyway, get clarity, what's affecting performance. Step 2 is like seeing under the hood, so to speak. So there are 2 things. The nice thing is, there's only 2 things that really the nervous system sees as threats. One is when our needs are not being met. This impacts performance, of course, right? When our needs aren't being met. And the other is when the expectation demand exceeds current capability. So, like, to think about that, imagine I asked you to go clean the gutters on the house. And I give you a ladder, but the ladder, like, the first 4 rungs of that ladder are missing. So I say, can you please go clean the gutter? Give you the ladder. You are like, I can't do it. Like, why not? I give you the thing. How about if I pay you $1,000? Right? You're like, but I can't do it. How about I pay you like $10,000? Will you go clean the thing? Like, but I can't do it. And what do you do as you keep on getting demand? Like, the demand to do the thing is there, but the current capability isn't there because you literally can't climb the ladder yet, or with that condition going on at the moment. So you get frustrated and stressed, and right, have a stress response because of it. So let's talk for a moment about when needs aren't met. And this is what I said, like each person is like a vehicle. So I think of the needs kind of like the fluid in the engine. You need them in order to actually have the vehicle perform well. Every human has 9 core needs, and this is just some of them, right? Physical nurturance. As moms, sometimes this is the one we give up on ourselves a lot. I don't need more sleep, I just need the dishes cleaned, right? But we do need more sleep. And I know it took me a long time of showing up, yelling at my kids to say, oh, I just need to sleep? Okay. All right. So what can happen a lot of the time, I didn't bring that paper. Oh well. There we go. So if you have a scenario, just to highlight, like both of us have needs in that moment in time. I described it a little bit with the pancake mom, right? Like she needs to have some safety in this whole situation for her own well-being. She needs to have like some connection with her mother-in-law and not like feel like that's about to be severed, and she's imagining that that's going to be severed, so she's threatened of it. But so one example, right? Not listening, the scenario, ignoring requests, putting on shoes while playing Legos. Often parents can be something like, oh, this child is stubborn, or they could threaten timeout. What's the child's need at that moment in time? Autonomy or choice, or just having that playtime. The parent's need is still, and equally valid, efficiency, consideration for time and effort, right? So the point of this slide, if you take it in for a quick second, is really just to see, like, we do have needs in these moments too, right? And it's just as important to hold those, because if we keep on trying to ignore them, we are sending ourselves even more into that stressed out state that makes it difficult for us to perform as our best selves, makes it difficult for then our kids to perform as their best selves. So, another little exercise, if you would, on your paper, take a moment. The last time something was kind of a challenge, is there a core need for you or a core need for your kiddo? And here's kind of the list. Think of the scenario of your own. What might your kiddo have been needing, and what might you have been needing? We live in a society, especially for women and moms, where we're often encouraged to abandon our own needs. And so for me, it was highly transformational to start thinking about this perspective. You know, what are my needs in that moment? And reconnect with that. It was hard. It took a long time. So if it's hard for you, just hold yourself with compassion, I think, in that moment. Certainly was for me. I think awareness is really the first step to being able to like bring more peace and calm, like that actually gets to the root of what's going on into the scenario, right? So just even by taking a moment to be aware is really a first step, significant first step. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the other part, when needs, or when current ability or demand, the demand of the situation is greater than the current ability to do that. Why might that be? What might make it hard to do something in that moment? And I say in that moment, like that'll become clear why that's a key part of the phrase in a second, in a few minutes. So there's two areas that are really key. And this one I think is the most important that I learned about over the past few years, executive functioning and executive functioning development in brains. And the reality is that a lot of the awareness, if you go out and say, I'm going to learn about executive functioning, you're going to hear a lot of people who say, talking about planning, prioritizing, and organizing, and then they come up with all of these strategies to plan, prioritize, and organize. And they're talking from a perspective of somebody, like most of the time, who has those abilities coming easily to them, right? And so they give you all these strategies, and you're like, great, but it doesn't work. What's going on? What's often going on is that there's these foundational skills, and unfortunately at this moment, a lot of the material out there doesn't kind of scaffold it well. The foundational skills are attention and perception, nonverbal or working memory, and inhibition. And that's why I said take a picture of the thing with your brain, like, because one of the key things, another common challenge that I think we can run into, has anybody ever experienced where rewards and consequences don't really seem to work the way they want? You're like, cause and effect is just having a hard time right here, right? Let me share my little story. Do I have one story about that? Well, I have a different story, I'm sorry. But like, what's happening there is oops, next slide. To have full ability to plan, prioritize, and organize towards a future goal, one has to be able to see that future goal. So if you have difficulty doing that, and you're like, let me give you this reward, but the kiddo can't see that future time, doesn't have the foresight for that at that moment, it's a waste of energy for them and for you, and everybody's frustrated and annoyed with each other. Kid is annoyed, you're annoyed, it's an unfortunate thing that we run into constantly. The same with the consequence. You have to learn from past behavior. Well, if your ability to make a mental picture of the past is still developing, again, you can have these expectations that you're going to learn from the consequence, right? But that's greater than the current capability because I don't have that mental picture of the past, that I'm not connecting to that, and everybody ends up frustrated. Make sense? So taking that picture in your mind is like one example of like drawing on that mental movie in your head. That's what that skill is. Okay. And then of course there's all the like child development things and skills as far as sensory processing, language, movement, social skills, emotional skills. All of those things are being built in little people and developmental. And having the eyes to see like what's going on, what are all the skills that lead into this task, can make a big difference to like helping to do the task better or adjusting the expectations to meet where the kiddo is so everybody can feel successful. This is really looking confusing. I put this in here this morning. But there's the next question. The reason I put it in here is the next question is, can you think of a scenario where, actually, let me go back and share the story first. Here's an example of this for my one kiddo. One kiddo, 4 or 5, you're like, go get dressed for school, right? And the child melts down. Every morning, go get dressed for school, child's crying. What is going on with this kiddo? They're 5 years old, they know what clothes look like what's the problem? What I eventually figured out, I think was the problem and the solution that I built in, this kiddo didn't have in their mind a picture of what dress for school looks like. Like, I can't imagine myself. What I was demanding of them was that they would be able to say, like, okay, dress for school looks like the weather's cold outside, so I need to go get a long sleeve t-shirt or a sweater and put that on, and I need pants and underwear and socks, right? And by the way, you know, today is some special event after school where I'm going to go to soccer, so maybe I should bring that thing with me too. Like, that kiddo did not have that ability at that moment in time. So my demand exceeded the expectations, and because he experienced failure over and over and over for so long, the first time I said that, he melted down every time. So that's like one example. So this is supposed to be just a bunch of ideas to jog thoughts in your head. Is there a scenario in your recent time? This is the question on the paper. Looking at the paper, can you think of a time where maybe the demand of that task or whatever it was, the thing that was being requested or the expectation of the kiddo, and the current ability wasn't matching? And this is just like some examples, because there's a lot of information that might go behind asking to analyze that situation. So this is just to jog some thoughts. And since I don't see pencils writing yet, I am going to share the last one because this is important too. The thing is, if we're thinking about this behavior idea, like, does anybody know the marshmallow test for kids? It was like, if you can inhibit yourself from eating the marshmallow, I'll give you 2 in 5 minutes, right? Well, they redid that and they realized that there's actually this part that's like, if instead of saying that means that kiddo has willpower and is going to have this wonderful life because they have great self-control, that was the original conclusion. They subsequently realized that if, remember the scenario 1 and 2 we did? If that kiddo showed up in that room in a state like scenario 1, they could avoid eating the marshmallow. If that kiddo showed up in that room in a state like scenario 2, they couldn't. It's adaptive. It's always changing based upon what's going on at that moment in time. So we need to know how full is our tank? Like, where are we in state 1 or 2 at that moment in time? So maybe, one day for that kiddo, I could say, who's having a hard time, go get dressed for school. I could say, go get dressed for school. And maybe he's like super full at that moment in time. He's like in state 1, really feeling good, not too many stressors in his life. And he goes upstairs and he makes an effort. And maybe the next day, he's like tired. His stressors are like high on his system. His tank is kind of empty. And I say, go get dressed for school. And it's like instant meltdown. So that explains why there's variability, right? One day they can do it. The next day they can't do it. And the reason is because our nervous systems are adapting to the environment that we're in, and it's always changing. So that's what I have to, instead of holding firm, this is the rule that I said, if I have the lens to see that, where are you right now, right? Then I can hold myself and hold that kiddo with compassion and not necessarily hold the rule, maybe, right? But know that at this moment in time, that's not a realistic expectation. I don't need to demand this of this person at this time. Does that make sense? Okay. Overall, the goal to aim for all of us, I think, is that we experience and our kids experience, I am seen, I am understood, and I am safe. exactly as I am. This, I might change this one day, but right now I really love this phrase, relational safety. Relational safety says I don't have to defend myself here, I'm seen, I'm understood, and I'm safe, exactly as I am. And I think ultimately, like, if the threats are one side of the coin, right, the goal to aim for, the relational safety is the other, to keep as like a North Star. At this moment in time, inside of myself, am I shaming myself? Am I causing my internal world to be a world of threat and no safety for myself inside, right? At this moment in time, is my environment set up to help me experience safety and be at my best and perform at my best? And the person I'm with, do they provide or help me with some of those needs of empathy, relational safety, right? Like, are those needs being met in the context of with that other person? So this is kind of the goal to aim for as a whole. So quick summary, and then there's some discussion questions. But our job is to see the signals, to prioritize nervous system safety. And I think here, with that whole idea of like our internal world being safe, if you can hold yourself with compassion that wherever you were at that moment in time, you did the best with what you had, right? Because I could stay stuck on feeling shame for having yelled at my kids. Or I can hold myself with self-compassion. I did the best with what I had at that time, but now I know some things that empower me to hold us all in better balance between function and well-being together. Okay. Get clarity about what's going on under the hood. The two categories, needs aren't met and expectations, are bigger than current ability. And remember that ability is adaptive, like changing always in the moment. And the aim, the overall aim is relational safety. So the steps, see the signal, get clarity. There's a whole lot about, like, we could go deeper into executive functioning stuff that would aid in that. And then the overall goal, experiment. I used to think there was like an A. We get an A in school, right? We either get a yes or no, true or false. The answer is either A, B, C, or D. There's one right answer for life. There's not. And it took me until I was 40 probably to figure that out. That, like, it's all an experiment. Everybody's always here just doing the best that they can. The people who are giving the behaviorist approach or the relationship approach, they're doing the best that they can with the information that they have at that moment in time. They're not wrong, or they're not evil, they're doing the best they can, and I'm doing the best that I can with that information that I've got at this moment in time. And I'm going to experiment to see what works for my family, for myself, and just get better and better at whatever works for each person. There's no one right answer. We're all on a journey to figure out what works for us, using this car analogy. So, if you want to get any of the information from today, like, these are just Google Forms, and you can fill out, give me your email, and I'll send you slides or whatever you put inside of that form, like, what are you interested in? And if, like I said, I'm kind of beginning this, beginning this business. Stella's going to be like, we need to talk further here. But positive psychoparenting is a business I'm trying to start to go through essentially this process, right? To give people the awareness, because I do believe the more that we just go through this process, the more calm, connection, and confidence we bring to our parents. And it's this cycle. Each little bit that we take out of stressors and we build some positive experiences, we change the trajectory for ourselves and for our kiddos. So starting mid-February, I'm going to do another cohort going through that process. And if you are interested in potentially learning more, you can use that QR code. We're going to have some rest of the time reflection and discussion time, because it is the beginning of the new year, and I have this very privileged time of being here at the start of the year. I would wonder, is there any element of today's topic that you would like to take into your parenting in 2026? And if so, what would you say that is? And what practical step might you take to support your own nervous system? These are the questions on the back of the page. You'll see them again. And if you wanted to, one practice I have is I pick a word for the year. This is my word to focus on for the year. Would you like that practice? If you would, what word would you choose for the start of 2026? And maybe if you want to remind yourself so we don't totally forget, because that's easy, life starts and you're like, what word was that again? One way to handle that is put it in your phone with a little reminder. So that's the questions on the back of the page for the rest of the time. Thank you so much. This is here because the reason I think this is so important, this whole process of building positive cycles or the learning curve that I've been on. Remember I said pride at my son in the relationship. Somewhere in the middle of that 7 years, my kiddo gave me this figurine, which I can't even, like, that was the healing of the relationship. It's like the signal that healed the relationship. The relationship was healed. And it makes me cry. I look at it and I just want to cry. So that's why it's so important. I do believe God wants us, like, I asked why is this important once, and he said to turn the hearts of the children towards the parents, and the hearts of the parents towards their kids. And it's like that safety in that relationship between parents and kids, and then that's our safety in our relationship between us and our Heavenly Father too. So it's important work that we do every day. And God bless you all. In 2026. I took more time, I'm sorry.
It's okay. More than enough.